You're live. Sweet. What's up, everyone? This is more for the people watching the playback because it's going to take us a minute to get people watching. But welcome to Hot Rod Philosophy. This is kind of a really chill show where we're going to try to always have a guest. Last episode we didn't. I made Shawn watch that. It was probably pretty brutal, but it's just kind of a cool episode or show. We'll have episodes, different people, different places. Here we're in Shawn's house doing a little bit of bullshitting about hot rods. We're drinking lemonade.
Lemonade. That cool refreshing drink.
Yeah, because it's already hot here, like super hot. While we let a couple people trickle in, what have you been up to this week, Shawn?
Every day I come home and work on the garage so that I have room to work on cars.
In the garage.
In the garage. Because much like you, the neighbors didn't like all the cars sitting outside.
Dude, update on that, interestingly enough, for you and for Shawn. So I went ahead and moved the Buick and the Pacer to a friend's shop. I don't know if you might know him. There's going to be a lot of that because we live in the same town. You're from here, right? No, you're
well,
from
I've been here for 27 years.
Yeah, so you're from here at this point. So I moved into another friend's place, and then I find out through another neighbor that like these what's up, man? What's up? How you doing? The neighbor that I think complained about me formally, which there's probably multiples that are not happy with me. I think the neighbor that complained about me formally is the one next door to me, and it bums me out because honestly, I'm not like a hard ass person. I'm just like I feel like you're the same way. We're just kind of sweet people, and like I got super bummed because she was like, "Ew, I hate that guy," and I was like, "Whoa." Like, I could understand if you're, like, not happy with the cars, but you hate me? You've talked to me one time. Like, I don't know. It's just a bummer. And the biggest thing on top of that is, like, I'm a younger dude, and I think people get frustrated that we're there because there's a lot of older people. And, like, my thing is, we're a young couple. We're starting our lives in this house. These people have been in this house that they're in for 20 years. You've already remodeled. You've already got your weeds in a system. You have your rodents taken care of. You have this, that. The dude who lived in the house before us didn't take care of it. He was a renter for 5 years. There's rats. Everything needs to be remodeled inside. The outside's dirty. And then on top of it, I'm trying to build cars. So it's like I'm working on stuff, but it's just not fast enough for them, you know, they're not, and so that's just kind of frustrating, you know what I mean? Like, and you're feeling probably the same exact things, where you're just trying to get settled in, man. Like, I'm not a slob, just give me a minute. Like, yeah.
Exactly.
Cool, so we got a couple people here. This is my friend Shawn Shirley. Shawn's been around hot rodding, especially in this town, for a long time, and I thought he was a perfect person for the third episode because, like Tad, who was like my buddy that did the first episode with me, dude, he's like very similar, like super just chill dude, badass hot rodder, loves playing with cars like all of us do. And oh yeah, we got some people joining. Yeah, people always need something to complain about. That's a good point too. We were talking about that. I'm getting sidetracked by comments, but I'm going to do that throughout this entire thing. There are all those people. They're just gonna always complain about something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Yeah. You say I'm gonna give you $100, and then they're like, "Oh, I wanted $20 bills."
Right. That was pretty good. I'm gonna have to use that. So I'm not gonna introduce you too much more. I want you to introduce yourself, if you will. Tell us a little bit about, like, you know, for bullet points, maybe like what got you into hot rodding. More recently, what you've been up to, and then anything else specific you'd like to talk about, and I will go back and forth with you on that.
Okay, well, hot rodding started for me as soon as I was born because my dad was a hot rodder.
Oh, okay.
So my dad built this. I don't know if you can see it. It's a dragster, front engine dragster. He built that in 1959, 1960.
Dude, that's
with
so
a Hemi
rad.
and.
Oh, it was a Hemi just like
Hemi.
that?
He wrecked it on base.
He
was in the Air Force, and he was at Ramey Air Force Base in Puerto Rico. Built the car, took it out of the auto hobby shop on base and hammered it and got sideways and went under the chain link fence onto the tennis courts and tore all the carburetors off of it. And he had scars that ran up into his hairline from the chain link fence going over his head.
What a rebel, dude.
Yeah. So I was born 1967. My dad was in flight school for the Army. He had gotten out of the Air Force, went into the Army. So I saw him for like 2 hours right after I was born, and then he went from flight school to Vietnam. So I was basically 18 months old whenever the first time I really met my dad.
Oh, wow.
For real. And my mom always told the story that she thought, how's he going to know he's a boy? Because it's my mom and my sister are raising me. And she said, as soon as I was big enough to grab a hold of a roller skate, I was a roller skate. So it was in
wheels.
It was in me already. So, and then just grew up around my dad doing car stuff, and he loved every kind of cars. He didn't care. When I was little, he had a 68 Z28. That's the only new car he ever owned. Only car he ever bought brand new was a 68 Z28.
That was that flight school graduation present, wasn't he? He was like, I did it. I'm Gary Camaro.
Yeah, he actually ordered a 67, but before they got to his order, it was 68. So he got a 68 Z28. But he had Porsches and Volkswagens.
Oh, so he was legitimately all over the
everything and car, hot rods. I got pictures of old hot rods, Model A's and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, this is a pretty serious build to go out and do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're obviously pretty into drag racing.
so yeah, that's my upbringing. It was always something on jack stands taken apart in the garage my whole life. Up until 81, my dad died in 81 from lung cancer. He sprayed Agent Orange in Vietnam. He was a helicopter pilot. But I've just always been a car guy. I remember I joined the Air Force and I got orders to England, and I thought, well, I'm not going to do any car stuff. I'm going to be in England. So I left all my tools at home. First, within 2 weeks of getting there, I bought the Anglia.
Oh, wow.
So I had to go buy all new tools. And I mean, that's how.
So we posted the picture, and you can kind of see it, and you can't exactly see it. Maybe at the end of this, we'll pop the camera off like we did in episode 2, and we'll show you his Anglia. It's back there. It's super rad, and man, so you brought it all the way back.
Brought it all the way back from England.
Back, dude. That's so sick.
So yeah, I've just been. Everything's been cars my whole life, and
which is pretty interesting. Cause I mean, there's people that like Wolfwood James, for instance. Like, I mean, his son's pretty good at it, and like dug it growing up, but just wasn't his thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like when it's your thing, like you said, it was like you like it, but I also really like it.
and I've always been. I think you talked about a little bit in yours about being mechanical. That even when you weren't, before you would ever think about driving a car, when you were 10 years old, you were like, I want to take this apart and see how it works. And you didn't care what it was,
right.
A vacuum cleaner or whatever it was. You wanted to know how it worked.
Yep.
I loved it when my mom would be vacuum cleaner and the belt would break.
I
would change the belt. I was like, because that's like I get to take something apart and fix it, So I've always been that way.
Something about fixing something, So like growing up, I'm gonna ask you a question, sidetrack you a little bit, but when you were growing up, who was influential to you, like as far as like maybe like celebrities or like in the media or whatever you want to call it? Can you think of anything specific or no?
Not really at a young age. I mean, just like everybody else, that's Jesse James.
Yep.
Monster Garage was. It was like finally something that's not stupid about cars.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, there's still 80% of the shows are stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like Jesse James because he wants to show you. He doesn't want to argue with anybody. He wants to show you about how to do things. How this is how we build it, and that's what I want to know about. I want to know about how to do things. I don't want to watch the arguing and screaming.
Oh, dude.
And
I want to get into that in a little bit. I wrote stuff down, adult, but I still want to keep getting to know you. But on the second half, I really want to get into Jesse James and the Fast and the Furious as well a little bit later. So stick around for that, or if you can't, come back and watch it because I feel like those two things are important. We'll talk about them. But okay, so you're in UK. How long were you there?
I was there 2 years, 2 months. Well, okay, so I went to England, and 8 months later, I got deployed to Desert Storm, Saudi Arabia. I was there for 6 months, and then came back. So I bought the car and bought the Anglia, started taking it apart, and then I found a shop to take it to. Because back then I knew how to do. I could do an engine change,
right?
But fabricating a chassis was like way beyond anything I could do.
Well, and were you in the dorms too?
No, I was married at the time, so I had a house, and it had like a detached garage, so it was like a row of houses, and then over here was a row of garages.
Almost like an apartment.
Yeah, and it's like if you were house number 4, then you had garage number 4. So I had extension cords like strung out all the way like 300 yards over there so I could have power to the garage. So I completely disassembled the car, and then I took it to a place, Yorkshire Street Rods, and they built a chassis for it and made it a rolling car.
So real quick to interject, what are the Anglias like? Are they unibodies and you wanted a chassis?
It's weird. They're kind of both. They have a chassis, like a standard chassis, but the body is riveted to the frame, so it's kind of like a unibody.
Interesting. It's
so
riveted to the
riveted,
frame.
yeah. So I had to. It's like 85 rivets. I had to.
Oh, that's super fun. Just like trucks when you're doing trucks. You're
exactly.
Like, you better get good with a hammer and
I forget,
hammer.
You take the grinder and you cut an X in the head, and then you chisel off the head, and then you knock the rivet.
Yeah, that's the absolute way to go. Or a grinder, because I don't have an air hammer that's worth the shit. So.
Yeah. Well, I tried just using the air hammer, and it's like took forever to get the head to come up. But if you cut it in an X, the air hammer just knock it right out. Yep. So yeah, it's.
You got the chassis done up by Yorkshire.
Yep, Yorkshire Street Rods, got it home, and then basically they were like, we're closing the base, so you're all going to get sent to the States. So,
Bye-bye.
So it was one of those things where it's like, I felt like I couldn't work on the car because any minute I might have to leave. So the car, basically, I just packed everything up. So the car was a rolling chassis, shipped it back to the States. I had a friend of mine that got stationed here. He received the car, put it storage for me, then went in right next door to Wade Music, Pink Model A.
Okay.
That runs around town.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to be right next door to him. So he was a fabricator. He worked at the old Ford store. He basically taught me how to weld and taught me how to fabricate.
Sick.
And at first it was like, I was like, can I come over and watch you work? And he's like, I don't know really, we don't really let people come over. But then after he kind of learned that I wasn't too much of an idiot, then he's like, okay, yeah, you can come over. So
it's a difficult dynamic, like when people want to get involved with what you're doing.
And you don't know. They might be a complete idiot, and they might actually have some knowledge and some skills. And just because they don't know how to weld doesn't mean they won't be a good welder,
Or it's like a synergistic relationship between the two of you, because sometimes it's like it's just not, it doesn't click, you know what I mean? Like, because like wrenching with someone, trying to teach someone what you know, and then them telling you, it gets messy, man. Like, so that's pretty cool. Because for you guys, side note, he's talking about a local shop that's been around forever. It's called the Old Ford Store, and they've always done pretty cool shit.
Yeah, Wade was one of the workers there. Worked there for forever. I don't know how long, and then just started working out of his house, and his house happened to be right next door to mine. So I was lucky enough to get free lessons from how to fabricate and weld.
It was like destiny.
Yeah, and then I've never had any formal training on any of that kind of stuff. I bought a welder. After I used his welder a little bit, then I was like, I have to have a welder. So I bought a welder and just started welding. And then I got out of the military. I started working for Learjet. I worked for Learjet for 10 years. I got laid off. And Wade had been bugging me, hey, come to my shop and work part-time. So when I got laid off, I just drove right straight from Learjet parking lot, right straight to his shop and said, do you still need help? And he said, help me push this car inside. So I got like an hour off of work when I got laid off. And I worked for Wade for about 6 months, and then he kind of ran out of work and wasn't sure what he was going to do. And so I became business partners with my friend Ned, and we were business partners for 10 years. I had Champ Performance, did exhaust work and all that stuff. a little bit of hot rod stuff, and then I was just done with customers. I was done. I was to the point where I was dreading going to work because I didn't want to have to deal with people. I loved working on cars, just the people part of it sucked. So,
unfortunately, that's like, I hear that a lot.
So I was talking to Barry Ellis, another car guy in Tucson, and that I've known forever, and told him how much I hated working with customers. And he said, come build rockets and you won't have to deal with customers. So I said, let me think about it for a second. Okay, I'll do it.
Yes.
And so it took me about 5 months to kind of slowly close the shop, stop taking in work and finish up the stuff I was doing.
Promised.
And finally got everything closed up and went full-time at Vector and been working there for 3 years now, something like that.
Very cool.
And do a little side work on race cars and mostly.
What's the just for an easy, because it is quite interesting where you work. There's obviously some things you can talk about, some things you can't. There's a website, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a Vector Launch. Or Vector Space Systems.
Just type in Vector Tucson, man.
Yeah,
it'll come
up. Basically, we build small rockets that are going to put small satellites in space. The satellites nowadays are like 4 by 4 by 4. That's what a satellite is.
What?
They're tiny. So with a tiny little rocket, we can put 16 to 18 satellites in space at one time.
Dang.
So
on one rocket?
Yeah.
Shoot them up there. That's pretty dope.
They go up and they have little ion things that push them into orbit where they want them to be, and
science.
Serious science. Cool shit.
That's super rad. So you're happy?
I'm happy.
You get to play with hot rods again, and you don't have to work on other people's stuff.
Yeah. My official motto is I don't work on anything unless my name's on the title.
Boom. Take that home. That's pretty good.
Yep.
That's awesome.
So
currently, what are you working on? Obviously, there's a C10 right here.
C10,
I want to know more about it.
This is my main thing because right now I have a pile of crap Toyota pickup that is wrecked and just looks horrible, and it runs great and it drives great, but I'm just tired of driving a pile of crap to work every day. So I'm working on this to be my daily. My business partner made a deal with some other guy, and they did some trading, and my business partner wound up with this truck, and he didn't want it, so he just gave it to me.
Sick.
So it's free. This was a freebie. 87 short bed Silverado 350 700 R4, and I brought it home, and it sat for 2 years, and then I finally said, okay, I got to work on it. So
I remember when I was sitting at your shop, and you welded a bung onto something for me, and I was like, yo, what's up with that C10? And he was like, nope, I'm building it. I was like, oh, okay, fine.
Yep. So once I got it here, I did a big, huge C-notch in the back, which was like, my philosophy is if you're building something, you tell everybody you know that you're building it and that you're looking for parts. And 50% of the time, you'll get free.
That's a good tip.
I all the time. You
guys are getting a lot of Shawn tips right now.
The C-notch, free.
Really?
Yep. Free.
Like the little...
Yeah, laying around in a friend of mine's shop, and he's like, I'm never going to use it. You can have it. So I got that for free. I've also got, I'm doing 22s on it, but I also have a full set of 15 by 8s, and I have some 15 by 7 rallies.
All given?
Chevy truck rallies, all given to me. A friend of mine has rental properties, and when one of the people moved out, they left 3 rally wheels. So 4. There was 4 rally wheels, but 3 were 8s and 1 was a 7. So I talked to another friend of mine, and I got another 7 and another 8. So I have a full set of 8s and then 6 7s. And
are they the late, like the square body?
Yeah, the square body rallies. And then the reason you want 7s for the front is when you put drop spindles, the 8s will rub the ARs.
Right.
So the 7s are the van wheels. They're narrower on the inside, not on the outside, so it moves it away from the AR.
So this is like the free mobile.
Yeah, and you just, like I said, you just tell
that
people.
Tank? Did you use that tank I gave you?
Actually, I was going to use that, and I can't remember what I was going to do. Oh, the way I'm running my exhaust, I was going to have enough room. So, but I have another friend of mine that's building a C10. I gave it to him.
Perfect.
So
as long as it works.
Yeah.
But that's like,
So
it was just sitting on the side of my house, and it was actually the same thing you said. You were like, yo, I'm building this, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, I think I got a tank that I'm going to like throw away.
You were overseas.
I was like,
you were like,
yeah,
just go to my house and look on the side of the garage.
If someone yells at you, tell them you know me, and just taking stuff from my house and leaving me. You have to show them that, though.
Yeah.
This is an important
static,
part of the C10 build.
Static drop, no airbags. So I got a plate, no bags, no bags. So, and it's a big drop. It's going to be like a 7-9 drop. So really, really low.
Oh, when you're sitting there, the next time you guys are thinking about building the truck that you're gonna build, and you're like, dang, is that too low? Just remember, Shawn went 7.9.
So, I wish I still had it so we could see it, but I sold my rat rod about a month ago, and it was about 3.5 inches off the ground.
I don't know that thing was.
And I daily, I mean, not like when people say I daily my car and they drive it once a week or once a month. I daily, that was the only car I drove for 18 months.
Dang.
And I put a little over 25,000 miles on it in 2 years. Went to Utah, California.
To Cali with that.
I mean, all over the place in that car.
When they did
3.5 inches off the ground.
When they did the zip tie drags, you went out and then cruised back with them.
Yeah, drove to Irwindale. It was really funny because once I got to Irwindale, people are like, "This thing's really cool. Where are you from?" And it's like Tucson, and they're like,
"Aren't we going to
Tucson?
Tucson?
We're going."
You're like, "Yeah, man, I drive it everywhere."
So I did that 2 times. I drove out there and back twice with the zip tie guys.
If you want to check out that car, go to his Instagram. It's Rods and Rockets. Rods N Rockets.
Yep.
And he has a bunch of pictures of it on there. It's a sick little car.
So that car made me say, if I can daily a car that's 3.5 inches off the ground, I could slam the shit out of this thing and daily it. So.
Well, and I think that, like we were just talking about off the camera, is the wheel and tire combo will definitely help.
Mm-hmm.
And you narrowed the front.
You narrow the front, and I pancaked the cross member, which gives me an extra 1.5 inches of drop, but doesn't get the cross member any lower to the ground. So it moves all the suspension up 1.5 inches.
Pancakes for breakfast, man.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I keep getting up. I'm just trying to keep up your comments. Looks like you guys are talking to each other. But I don't want to miss questions. I think my old dually had a 7.9. It was dumb low. Yeah, man. Whenever you lower something super low, static, it's got to be like, this is stupid low.
Yeah.
Because it's stupid, but it's low and it's sick.
Yep.
Now, I know you're no bags, but bags are kind of nice because you're pulling up to something, you're like, that looks kind of high. Oh, yeah, that's not a big deal.
I always I had a friend of mine that had a 35 Plymouth, 36 Plymouth with bags on it, and it was like, the best way I can put it is like his pecker. He could not stop playing with it. It was just funny to drive down the road because it was just like,
leave it alone.
It's like you cannot drive that thing. It was like his hand was one hand's on the steering wheel, one hand was on the button.
It's a video game, dude. I remember that truck that I had. It was a 01 S10 Extreme. A buddy of mine built it. I didn't build it, and it had a 5-link, which he did a really nice job. It had all suicide doors parts on it, which is like I think they're Thor Bros now or whatever, but. Truck was super nice, and it had a Viper alarm, and he had an aux hooked up, so like you could dump it and you could fill it from the aux, so like you could be like 200 foot away and then like bump the truck, and like it would like get like a 1/4 inch off the ground, and it was like a fully loaded truck, and there was a few times that it was super fun just having it like in my parking lot laid out, and people were like getting out of their car and like, and it just like sits and they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Looking around like, what happened? Did I do that?
There was one time I was cruising. It was like the first couple of weeks I had it, and it had train horns, and it was like got up to a stoplight, and then it was like limo, like it was stupid limo tinted. Like I couldn't back up. Like it was terrible. At night I had to I was like I can't see shit, and we pulled up to the light, and I just dumped one side like hard, like on the frame, and this lady was like, "Whoa!" Like looked over and freaked out, and I just like whacked it back up and like just like drove off. Like, could you imagine if you don't know cars can do that? And you're like, what happened? It was super fun, but just have a static truck again.
Yep. Yeah, I like dragging shit on the ground, I guess. I don't know. Actually, I did a couple of bagged cars at my shop for people, and it just felt like way more work than it was worth.
The one thing that is super cool is I was talking about on that last episode is I have the that Viair stuff, like the E level. That's super nice because that was one thing that really sucked with my S10. It was all there was no controller, no ride controller whatsoever. So it was like the instant you got in the truck, like you said, if you're laid out, you would try to come up even, and then like the S10s have a gas tank on one side that's long ways, that's really heavy, and you get like the Chevy lean, and the truck's like this, and you're trying to like level it out, and then like the left rear is like up, and you look like an idiot. But like now it's like it has ride height sensors on all four corners.
Yeah, and each bag is completely separate.
Yeah.
Because I remember a friend of mine he just had front and back, so the bags were tied together. You go around a corner, and the car would lean in the corner, and you come out of the corner, and it wouldn't go back.
Because all the arrows shoved to the one
side. It would just stay that way, and it would take like 10 minutes for it to level back out again.
Yeah, so there's definitely some, there's some silly shit that you can do for sure. So the C10, and then, what's the plans with the Anglia? I know it's been
been apart forever. Five years. I took it apart 5 years ago to do the twin turbo. So I bought that car in 1990 in England.
1990. Shawn, I'm going to tell you something you're not going to want to hear.
I hear it all the time, I know. I work with everybody. Everybody I worked with was born after I bought my car.
So yeah, because Dominic's probably a little bit older.
There's some motorcycles sitting out there. Bought the car, worked on it for 14 years before I got it running. But that was
right.
That was going to Desert Storm, then moving from England to the States, and worked on it, got life, all that stuff. Having kids, finally got it running. Actually, having kids was one of my inspirations to get it running, and I worked on it more after I had kids than I did before. And I'd take the kids outside and make them crawl around on the ground while I was working on the car.
Absolutely. Here's a little 4x4. Please don't hurt yourself.
I don't know what those things are called. Like it's like got wheels, and you put them in it, and their feet will just barely touch the ground, so they can walk around.
I know what you're talking about.
So I used to put my son in that, and he'd take a pair of pliers and act like he was working on the car.
That's what I do in my shop. I just pretend. I'm like that.
So.
I remember there was a video of you had it, and it was like a small block Chevrolet.
Yes,
it was like a nasty little small block.
I put it all together first it had a totally stock with what would you call it? Like a Edelbrock Performer cam.
Like a 3/4 race.
Yeah, yeah. Ooh. So just a mild motor. I put that together and I got it running and drove it for I might have put 10 miles on it, and then I was like, this car has to have a real motor in it.
Right.
So I built a 12.5-to-1, 545 lift solid roller cam, tunnel rammed, 4,500 stall, 411 gears, loud. Just exhaust came off the headers and turned out the sides.
Yes.
And I can remember I drove the car to Tombstone. That was the farthest I had ever driven it. Drove it to Tombstone, and when I got there, my ears rang like concert ringing for 2 hours after I got it was horrible, but it was great.
Yeah.
It was a 4,500 converter, and it was 4,500 RPM all the way to Tombstone and back.
And it was a Tappet? A solid Tappet?
Yeah, solid. And drove it like that forever. Put a ton of miles on that thing like that, and probably put 300 bottles of nitrous through that motor. And
there's a lot of activity out here. Yeah. That's why we keep looking, man.
There was a motorcycle parked in front of my house.
We're worried about the notch. I drove the notch out here, so it's out here.
So yeah, I put that motor in it, and then that motor, I broke a rod at just clicking it into second gear at 6,500 RPM. So blew that motor up, and then built the motor that's in it now as just a naturally aspirated motor. But I knew it was going to get a turbo or turbos, so I built it with the correct compression and all that stuff so that I could do that. And I drove it put tons of miles on that motor, and then decided, okay, I think I have all the parts, so I'm gonna take it apart. And I took it apart, and it's 5 years later, I don't have it back together again. So it's close. I'm gonna finish the C10, then I'm gonna do the Anglia.
And that's why you're on this damn show, man. It's because you're a doer.
Well,
I think you'll do it.
Life got in the way for a long time, and I'm gonna not let it go.
Sometimes it's so easy to like let the priorities slip.
Yep.
I mean, it's not. I mean, slip's the wrong word because it is life, and life. I mean, isn't hot rods. Hot rodding is life, but right. I mean, life isn't hot rods.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you gotta keep your freaking mind legit. You gotta keep your relationships good. But like, it's easy to play the responsibility card with yourself. And it gets easier and easier as life goes because you do have kids, you do have a house, you have a job, you have all these things, and it's so easy to keep beating yourself down and pushing the projects down the list. And that's like one of the things that I always try to like talk about is like how I say like on here a lot, like I want to inspire, motivate, and entertain. Like inspire and motivate because it's like so simple, but it's so hard sometimes. Especially when you've pushed yourself into that place where the car is the back burner. How do you get it back to the front?
Yep. And how do you? I try to tell people, it's like, you know what, 20 minutes is enough time to get something done. So don't say, I've only got 20 minutes. Fuck it, I'm not going to work on it. Say, I've got 20 minutes. I'm going out there and I'm going to do something.
Yep.
And because 10, 20 minutes is a lot of time.
Yeah. You're out there, at least like maybe you have your list, like what part do I need? Or my favorite is the 20 minutes rolls into 45. You found 45 because you did 20 and you're like, oh man, I gotta do this. And then you keep going.
Yeah, exactly. So that's, I tell people, don't use that excuse. You say, I have 20 minutes, I'm gonna go work on my car. And sometimes you sit in the car and make car noises and it inspires you to the next time.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, that's super true. I'm like enjoying it. Where Katie always talks to me because like I push so hard and I'm such like a Jack Russell Terrier. I'm just like go, like finish it. And like for me that is somewhat enjoyable, honestly, because I like attaining like the goals that I set for myself and pushing myself. But it is kind of nice. Like today when I drove the Nova out of the garage, BT Dubs, I drove the Nova. Go watch that video. I'm trying to get better at that. I'm not good at that. But when I drove it out and like, you know, we came back from the drive and I let it sit in the front yard. And you know, you just kind of have that, like I sat on the chair and I was like editing the video and I was like, sick. Car's sick. And then like, you know, even if it's 10 minutes, you're like, all that shit was worth it.
I can remember. I can remember on the Anglia after 13 years thinking this thing is never going to run. I am never ever going to get it running. And finally at 14 years, January 13th of 04, I drove around the block and instantly it was like, that didn't take long at all. That was nothing. That was easy.
Yep.
So
it's like that. I mean, that same feeling is like what I felt today because I mean honestly the Nova was like a pretty long, considering like compared to my other projects, like it took a long time, and it's because I started the priority thing. I started putting weight to it too, right? It's my lady's car, it's gotta be perfect, you know, like all this stuff. And I was like, dude, like she didn't even like care if it was LS swap probably. You know what I mean? Like if I would have just given it to her with his tray sticks and the glide, she'd probably been like sick. And I was like, hell no, like not in this house.
I gotta enjoy it.
This thing is gonna be way sicker than that. Well, and it's like, I mean, that's like you see like Katie pull up and you're like, you know, that's my lady or something. You're like, dang, he built a sick ass. That's like a thing, you know what I mean? You gotta like make sure that she's hooked up with something kind of sick. But it's true, like you made a good point. Like even if it is taking you this long and like now you're at this 10-year mark or whatever you're at, if you are stuck and we're trying to help you, just set a freaking date. Like even if you didn't make it.
Yeah, I did that. I always say I'm gonna drive it on my birthday. That's what I always say. I'm gonna drive it on my birthday.
That's a good one.
And I would just, okay, I'm gonna drive it on my next birthday. Okay, I'm gonna drive it on my next birthday. And
was January 13th your birthday?
No, but I didn't care. I was driving it. I wouldn't wait until October 1st.
It pushed you though, and maybe even that birthday, that October before that January was just like, and I was close. I was like close. So I was like, I'm gonna do this. Dude, let's talk about the last 20% of a build because I have just got my ass handed to me the last like 2 weeks of this Nova, and it's been the silliest stuff.
Oh yeah, that's the hardest. I like fab work. I like the chassis, doing the C-notch in the back. That was the
best.
Yeah, it was like eating dessert. That was dessert. But I really like running brake lines and fuel lines, and I'm one of those weird people that I like to wire a car. So I like doing wiring. So I know exactly. So like I have on the outside of the garage over there, I have another car that's to replace the rat rod, and I'm saving the fuel lines and brake lines and wiring for last because
That's your favorite?
yeah, and that's the part that everybody considers the hard part.
The piece de resistance.
Yeah, and it's like I like that part.
I explained wiring in such a way the other day to a friend of mine. I think it's pretty funny. I explained it as, I'm going to try to put it less colorful because I'm always so colorful with words. It's like when you're on a date or maybe you're getting to know someone romantically, and it's like the building of the car is like the foreplay. Like, this is awesome, this is sick, I am building the shit out of this car. And it's got like, you know, you built like this headers and whatever, like it's all like, and then like wiring is like, you just stop and you leave the bedroom and you go to the dining room table and like put like glasses on, and then you have to like read a contract and then like dot I's and cross T's for 45 minutes, and then you get to go back to the bedroom. That's wiring.
See, to me, like you talk about building headers, I love building headers, and to me, wiring is exactly the same as building headers. It's like I like taking the wiring and it's like, okay, that wire has to go over here and over here, and I want it to be nice and neat and tidy, and
Yeah.
and that's how, like, it's like, okay, I got to make that tube go over here, and that's the way I think about wiring. Is
I think, like, for me, I definitely joke about it a lot because it's easy to pick on. It's not that I don't enjoy it, it's that it's always like the last thing for me. And maybe it's the way I build cars, because there is like different ways to approach the build as a whole, and I kind of leave wiring for last, which I don't know, but maybe you can have some insight on that. But I leave it for last, and then it's like the last 2 days where like the car in my brain, like,
it's done.
Yeah, my little kid brain's like, drive it, it's done. And then like then you're like, no, I gotta wire the whole motherfucker. Like, oh, I'm gonna be here forever.
It's funny, to me, like the headlights, if you can make the headlights come on, it's like, oh,
it's done.
It's got, if I can like turn the lights on, it looks like a car.
Yeah, I can't turn the headlights on the door.
Even in the dark, it's a car.
Yeah, it's pretty much a car.
So yeah.
And you just make noises until it sounds
exactly.
like it's running.
You got all the little spittle on the inside of the windshield from.
Yeah, that's what it's from. Dang. All right, so I have a couple bullet points I want to hit because I wrote stuff down like an adult. Let's get back to Jesse James. Let's talk about like how media has changed and evolved the car world. And for you, it's going to be different for me, which is cool because I think we'll get a different look at things, like when you were experiencing it come up, and then like I kind of like grew up in it almost.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, and so like since my dad was a car guy, I grew up with seeing stuff happening.
Hot Rod magazines all over the house.
And go out to the garage and the floor is completely gone out of the car, and 2 weeks later you go outside and there's a whole new floor in the car. Stuff like I saw that happen as a little kid.
That's sick. I did not.
So that part of it for me on like the Monster Garage, that part of it for me wasn't special because I already knew that could happen. It was I don't even know. It was them working on the car, because they never ever showed that before. It was always a soap opera.
The inside the build.
Stuff.
Inside the build.
And it was like the technical part of it, and that's the part I wanted to see. So I really, all of those shows, the Motorcycle Mania and all those shows, it's like I could watch the one where he builds the copper bike and goes to Mexico with Kid Rock. I could watch that one every day for the rest of my life. I enjoyed that so much.
Me too.
Because he was doing shit that was like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. I want to do that.
Oh yeah.
Stuff like that, and there's a certain point where you've worked on cars for long enough that it takes a little more to make you go, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
You know, just putting a motor in, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I can do that. I can do that with my eyes closed. So that was something
different.
Well, it was something special. There was something that happened for just a short time, and then it turned to crap. That you know, people throwing chairs at each other instead of building motorcycles, and it hasn't come back from there. As far as I'm concerned, it's still there.
I think like the personal media, like YouTube and stuff like that, has definitely kind of brought it back in an essence, because you get just the straight up home feel with people.
Yep.
One thing I wanted to add that I think is interesting that I thought about that you might have an opinion on, like you were talking about, like it's hard to pinpoint the one thing that like maybe Jesse James as a whole brought to us. And I think for me, what it boils down to, if I had to say one thing, is that he taught me not to give a shit about what other people think. As long as you think what you're doing is cool, do that shit. And do it good though, right? Like don't suck.
What I really liked, and it pissed everybody I knew, was like, fuck Jesse James. I hate Jesse James. He did the biker build off with Paul Sr. and Paul Jr. and he didn't win. And his bike, Paul Jr.'s bike, had the exhaust running through the gas tank. It was stupid. You couldn't ride it. It was a stupid bike. Jesse James, you could get on his bike and ride it from Florida to California. Mm-hmm. And basically what he
probably did it.
Basically what he said to the crowd was, I don't care if he won or not, because I know my bike's better. And you guys, you people who voted, don't understand. You don't know. You're just looking at a thing that it doesn't matter, and oh, that's cool, and everybody was like, fuck Jesse James, and it's like, no,
but really,
exactly,
right? Like
exactly what he said is right.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck all those people in the audience. They're a bunch. My friend of mine calls them the baby stroller people. Let's go to the car show and look at the freaks.
Yeah.
Those people, they don't know anything about cars. They're just like, ooh, that's shiny.
Baby stroller people.
Yeah, ooh, that's shiny. That's the coolest car here. It's red. They don't know anything. You know, it's like.
Was that the bike that Jesse built that was like purpley? It had like the purpley.
I thought it was red, but it had all. He made like everything out of stainless. He did like all kinds of. He was just learning how to do the forge work, and he forged all the pieces to like mount the handlebars, and it was a bitchin' bike, and it wasn't crazy radical like exhaust through the gas tank kind of shit. It was just a regular chopper, but it was one of those ones where you could spend hours and hours and hours
looking at all the little details.
And you could, in theory, you could flip the bike upside down, and it was just as pretty on the bottom. Where, you know, like, to me, the Paul Jr., Paul Sr. bikes, those are the kind of things where you take the tank off and flip it over, and there's chunks of Bondo hanging off that are not painted.
Could be.
And it's you know, the outside that you can see is pretty. You know, having a shop and having cars on the lift all the time, I would see that where a car would come in with a bitchin' paint job, and you put it up on the lift, and there's all kinds of ugly crap underneath.
See, and this Dylan, my buddy, just said, I've seen all those bikes in person and they're garbage. Jesse's bike is definitely the one that you could actually ride.
Yep.
And then my buddy Josh was saying that he was watching all the Monster Garages on Netflix, which they put back up. Which, I mean, it's funny because I like to talk about this, and I think I'm going to bring this up with every person, because regardless of your opinion, he had an effect.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
He loved fabricating. You know what I mean? He like the Monster Garage thing. I always liked the intro, because there's a guy grinding and Jesse James goes over and acts like he's washing his hands in the parts, and it was like, that's because he's a fabricator.
Yeah.
That, you know,
he is.
Most guys would be like, ow, 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 ow. You know, it's like, no, it's like.
Well, and he's kind of like an ass, but like in a fun way, and it's because he doesn't give a shit about what people think.
And I don't have a problem with that at all.
Me neither. my next favorite hot topic, Fast and the Furious. Number one, we're starting with number one at least. Maybe we'll talk about the other ones, but definitely Fast and Furious 1. When it came out to now, how do you feel? How do you think it affected things, etc.?
This is what I remember. I remember when came out, and I remember everybody talking about it, and I remember everybody talking shit about it. Like, oh, this is so stupid. This is, it's stupid. Nobody knows that all those guys are shitty actors, and now it's like, oh, Paul, whatever his name is.
Paul
Like,
Walker.
he's the greatest actor ever, and it's like, no, I remember 20 years ago you saying he sucked. So, I went into it thinking this is a movie, and it's like I don't care if it's
silly.
If it's silly because it's a movie.
Right. We're not watching a documentary.
And if I need to see what real life car guys are doing, I can just look in the mirror because I'm already doing it.
Because I'm a bad motherfucker.
So I mean, when there's 5 minutes of a 10-second car race, it is kind of silly.
Yeah.
But how else are you? If they only filmed it for 10 seconds, you'd be like,
right.
What?
Well, and the other thing is like, it's just like anything. You didn't make a movie for car guys. You made a movie about cars, and kind of like, obviously the main point that they get to is that it's all about family, about like the people that are around you. Mm-hmm. You made a movie about like the lifestyle that a lot of us live. You know what I mean? Like, me and you, I would say, aren't like super close, but if you would call me and you're like, yo man, I need something with this, like, I'd probably come help you.
Yeah, if you said, hey, I need a trailer, I'd say it's in my front yard.
Right. So I think, obviously this is boiled down to a deeper meaning, but I think like they hit that note, and they also were showing people that don't know what a car race is like, and maybe like they're just trying to explain it to them. It's intense. It feels like this. The freaking this and that.
And John Forrest would talk about. He would make a pass, 3.9 seconds, and he would talk about it for 5 minutes.
True. True.
I was in it, I was out of it. I just had to correct. I was doing this. I was that. And it's like it took longer for him to tell you what he did during the race than the whole race and half the getting back to the pits took.
That's a really good point, Shawn.
And that's what they were doing in the movie.
They were showing, that's a good point. They're showing you their point of view, right? For Paul Walker, like, especially with just kind of what they're showing you is Paul Walker's point of view ish, like first person removed kind of, I guess. But like, it's his first street race. It's this like, it's like, ecstasy. There's all this, he's obviously falling in love with it. There's all these things happening, things are going. I mean, like, even the first passes that you probably remember making, or I remember making, they were slower than shit. But like, I remember being like, yeah, like, like.
Well, and even when, so I can remember I had a '66 Nova station wagon, and that car was like super consistent. It was like it would run exactly the same on the street as it did on the track. And best pass I ever made. At 125 shot of nitrous on it, and it went 1183 at 113, and I would burn the plugs up if I held the nitrous in third, so I'd only run nitrous to the top of second gear, and then I'd let off and shift into third. Went 1183 at 113. But the car would run 1240s all day long, pass after pass after pass, 1240s. And I got so used to it that I can remember launching the car, shifting into second gear, and then looking in the stands to see if I could see people I knew, and waving to them, and then shifting into third gear and making a 1250, 1240 pass, and it felt like it took forever. It didn't feel fast at all.
It's just like I always compare it to like playing sports growing up. I remember like the people that were like really good. Not that I was, I guess, bad. I was a decent athlete, but in my mind, I knew like there's people that you could see like that dude's gonna play at a collegiate level. That dude's possibly gonna be a pro athlete. Everything was slower to them. Everything was way more simple. Like. You know what I mean? They saw more, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, dude, you're way ahead of me. And that's what I think of, like, when you get around someone that's been racing for a long time that has, like, 850 car, 750 car, and then they talk to you for a couple minutes, and you're, like, for me, it's like I have a lot of friends that are, like, way faster, and, like, I can comprehend the things they're telling me, and they're, like, pulling it out of you, because they're already way further down that road. They're like, dude, this, you need to change this. Did you look at this? Did you do this? And you're like, oh, shit. Like, that's a lot of good stuff, It's the same thing.
And it's funny. You learn to, a friend of mine, I learned this from a friend of mine, that just from talking to her, she has an 8, right now I think her car runs 840s, but at the time her car was running 9.0s, and it was blown 540, and I remember her like getting out of shape enough that the left front and left rear tire came off the ground, and she straightened it back out and just right back in the throttle. and I
should have maybe connected to your Wi-Fi. Are we back?
Counting.
Yeah, we're counting. You guys throw a comment at me or something if we're back. We had a few here. Okay, thanks, man. Story with the square back there. Okay, we hit on the, hey, Katie. I'm gonna go through these real quick. I don't want to miss you guys too much. So the square body, and then he has an anglia right there. We've slightly gone over them, and then we're gonna, at the end of the video, we're gonna physically move the camera. We'll go show you guys the builds, and I'm gonna post this video too, so you can go back and listen to the beginning story of the anglia, and then kind of where he's at on the C10. But
no bags.
I think that was pretty good, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And then for those of you watching, I'm gonna ask, please, if you would throw me, hit the like button, and then also think of some questions you have for either me or Shawn. Whatever questions you guys have, and we can try to hit them up for you. Cool. So the next thing that I have bullet pointed, responsible, is I think something that's really interesting that I was like able to kind of grow up through was the change in horsepower and like capabilities via like technology and tuning and well, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like in the past 15 years, things have gone so far. Get a phone call?
Yeah, let me just silence.
Hold on, phone call. This is lemonade, by the way, and I have 2 drinks today. The lemonade was provided by Shawn, and it's very good. I think he's drinking lemonade as well. Yep. I only have 2 drinks, man.
Lemonade.
I think last time I had like 4. I do like a lot of drinks. You gotta have multiples, you know? You heard us talking. Heard us talking about it. So anyways, my question would be, like, what do you think about where we're at now and how crazy it is, like the ability to make power easily and safely?
Yeah, I'm still blown away by it. You know, that I can remember 20 years ago, 15 years ago, a guy on Speedway that had a Supra that was, it said 1,000 horsepower on the license plate, but I think it was probably more like 9.
Like an MK4?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And
sick. Was it white?
No, it was blue. It said 1K HP on the license plate.
What a badass.
And it was kind of like, it was one of those things where you're kind of like, yeah, whatever. That's not real. But
yeah, because it's like, it wasn't realistic.
It's, and I mean, the horsepower thing is, there's a big difference between making numbers and running numbers.
True.
You know, I had a friend that had a Mustang that made 780 at the tires and went 10-0. He could not break into the nights. 10-0, 10-0, 10-0, 10-0, 10-0. Couldn't put the numbers down the track. Same, my friend Janine, her Camaro made 640 at the tires and went 9-0.
Right.
So, you know, the numbers are, you know, there's tons of guys out there right now in the last 10 years that are building 1,000 horsepower cars with stock tires and wheels. And it's like, I don't care, I'll race you all day long.
Yep.
Because, so this motor, when I first put it in the Anglia, so it's a 350 hydraulic roller motor out of a Chevy truck.
Okay.
Set of ported old school Chevy heads, mildly ported by me, not anything.
By me, I like how you had like, you like immediately were like, by me,
by
not
me.
good.
There's like not any like crazy horsepower shit. Just, you know, 202 1.6 valves, you know, tunnel ram 2 4 barrels, and the car made 300 horsepower and 325 foot-pounds of torque at the rear tires.
Yeah, which was great.
I raced a friend of mine had a Firebird 2000 Firebird 5.3 with a he called it a hillbilly turbo kit. You might have seen one of those before.
Yeah, maybe.
His car made 619 on the same day within an hour of mine making 300. And a week later, we wound up side by side at a light, and it was probably 130 miles an hour before he went by me.
Wow.
I was 4 cars out on him.
The whole time.
He was slowly chasing me down. And it's a weight.
Right.
Power
Using
weight
power
ratio.
band,
Yeah,
all those
2,200 pound, 2,250 with me in it. And
Dude, that's so crazy.
And his car's 3,800, and I had 325/50.
Yeah, the car.
Nittos
all day.
Yeah, all day long. I had a friend that could destroy everybody in his Subaru. His Subaru made 300 at tires, all-wheel drive. On an intersection, I'd put 2 cars on him before we get to the other side of the intersection. So, and he was like, "You're the only car that can do that." Every other car, I destroy him across the intersection. So, putting the power down is completely different numbers.
And that's what's so cool about the technology is like you can go into a dog and be like, okay, well we're spinning here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I can pull power out here so we can get to 60 foot. I can do this, like, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just like endless,
Mm-hmm.
and even just like shareable knowledge too via the internet.
Yeah, and there's so many people that are doing it and sharing what they did that you almost can build a fast car without knowing anything. You just go, he put this suspension, he bought these suspension parts and put them on a car. He bought these engine parts and put them in the engine. And I know exactly what the car is. Now, you have the tuning that you have to do, you have to tune. But you can make a fast car.
Capable of going fast is the good way to
and
put it.
You have to have the wherewithal, the gumption, whatever, to make 5,000 passes until you get it running fast.
I mean, look at my car. I mean, no dyno, the Pacer, no dyno, street tune, simple combo. It should go faster. I mean, it will go faster, but it's like that's the part that I think a lot of people miss is that it takes. I mean, unless there's some differences. I mean, like I think arguably if I would have been able to go to the dyno first, get it to where you know it's making power. I think one place I really do shine is I'm pretty good at making cars like hook up and stuff. So like there's disconnects, but really that's I think where you learn so much.
Oh, yeah,
is like you can't just put parts together. It has to go.
Yeah. Well, that's to me. That's always when I had my shop, people would come in and they'd be like, "I'm not a car person. but I like the look of an old car." And it was like I can tell you don't. And I'm thinking in my head, you don't have it in you, because old cars are the kind of things that you're like. Oh, I drove the rat rod every day. Sometimes I'd hit the dimmer switch and the headlights would just go out. And you just got to mess with it a little bit, and okay, they come back on.
Yeah.
But you got to. In a brand new car, you don't have to deal with that. You just get in it, you start it. If you want to think about it, you can.
Right.
If you don't want to think about it, you don't have to.
It doesn't really matter.
Old car, you have to think about it. You got to think about it.
I think that's a really good point. I think I think I've talked about this before, maybe with you guys, but like when I bought the Nova for Katie, the prequel to that was I had helped her get her Camry, and then after a while I was like, do you want another car? And I want to buy you a car. And I wanted to get her like an Xterra or something because she had an Xterra and she really enjoyed it. And she's like a badass car. I loved it. And I was like, cool. Do you want another Xterra? And this was like out of the blue. And then she straight up was like, I think we were texting because I was overseas. And she was like, no, I want a Nova. And like up until that point, we hadn't really like talked cars too much. I think it was just from being around me, and then like of course everybody likes old cars. Not necessarily everybody wants to own an old car and go through all the bullshit of fixing them. uses COVID as an excuse to get another. So Katie commented and said that I used that as an excuse. Maybe. But we started looking, or I started looking, and I found her Nova and bought it for her. And in the intermediate time, or what would you call it? My bad, that's a wrong term. But anyways, in the in-between time between me finishing her car and we got it, I gave her Zephyr, which is that little four-door. And I felt bad. I bought the Zephyr for just because it was a good deal. And then I was like, I can't ruin this car. It's really good. It's got AC, rebuilt trans, and all stuff. And then it was baby blue too. And she's like, I really like the Zephyr. And I was like, really? Do you want it? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, here. And they're like, happy Zephyr Day. I'm sorry your Nova's apart. And it was really awesome to see, like, she just hopped in it. And then, like, the Camry died. Like, the Camry was, like, chopped liver. Like, I don't even think she's driven it. Like, she just drives the shit out of a Zephyr. And, like you said, I was nervous just because, like, it is a thing, like, driving an old car all the time. And, like, for some people, it's very annoying.
Yeah.
And, like, they don't want to deal with that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
But, like, we were talking about, actually, before we got on camera, we're pretty laid back. And then on top of that, like, we're pretty mechanical, so like something is wrong. I'm like, well, it's probably my fault. I probably did something wrong.
A good example of like being comfortable with an old car is I had the second time I went to California for the zip tie thing. The car was running like shit. I could not get it to run. Like you drive down the road and it would be like totally driving great, and then it would like backfire the carburetor and then no power at all. Like, the timing was changing.
6-cylinder life.
Yeah, and I could not fucking figure it out. I'd adjust the timing, and then it would run fine. And then it would run like shit again. And I'd move the timing back where it was, and it would run fine again.
Variable timing.
Yeah, well, that's what it was doing. The plate with the weights on it
was spinning.
Was cracked, and it was moving.
No crap.
It was moving back and forth like that. So, we're driving down the road, and it's running fine. We're driving. We're just outside of Gila Bend.
Okay, so you can
cruise along, no problems at all, and all of a sudden it's just like I can feel that my foot's getting closer and closer to the floorboard, and we're not going any faster. I'm pushing it down. Pretty soon I'm wide open throttle as fast as it'll go, and it's just like 30 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour, and then pow, it backfires to the carburetor, pull outside the road.
At least it was pulling timing instead of adding timing.
So sat on the side of the road and cranked and screwed with it, and I just like I got pissed off and I just grabbed the trigger and went. It turned it like 180 degrees and it fired right up and ran perfect. So I drove it into Gila Bend, took the distributor out, completely, finally figured out what it was, took it apart, saw that it was broken, pulled it completely apart, took those two pieces to a shop, got it welded, put the distributor back together in the parking lot, put it back in the car, lost an hour and a half on our drive to California from
hey.
And, you know, somebody that's not a car person
would have been like, F this car.
Yeah, and it was like, I was kind of like, a little bit like, do I really want to pull the distributor out of this car on the side of the road?
Right now?
But fuck it, it was like, what, better than paying for a tow back to Tucson, so.
Well, you're a doer too, like we were just talking about, man. Like when you're a doer, you just do that stuff,
Yep.
you know?
And what's funny is the guy that welded it for me was not a welder. It's like the shittiest weld ever.
and did you like not sleep at night?
I never touched it. I brought it back and it was like, I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to take it apart and I'm going to take it to work and I'm going to grind it down. I'm going to TIG it. And I never fucking touched it. It's still in there. I sold it. And it just now it's like, I'm talking about that and I'm thinking, oh shit, I hope that doesn't fall apart.
You're going to wake up in the middle of the night like with a cold sweat. Like, oh, this welded so shitty. Like, oh
it was horrible, but it never gave me problems again.
So it was an issue. Dude, I've been running into some weird stuff on Katie's rear brakes, and rear brakes are like boring as hell.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like smoking the pad, and I adjusted it, and then I'm like, it's still smoking one pad, like on one side. Just like silly stuff like that, you know. And like you're saying, that's where people are like, call it quits, sell the damn thing.
Yeah, buy me a brand new car that I don't have to think about. Yep.
Or even like, I mean, like my Mustang, dude. I love that. To me, that's a new car. Like my notchback is like.
When I got this thing, I was like, it's only like 12 are 15, 20, 20, 31 years old. Holy crap. But that's a brand new car to me. That's like,
that's where your
it's
brain,
87, yeah. It's
your
like,
brain's like,
to me, the Nova's a late model. That's what I think. That's like a late model car.
yeah. Dude, like my Duramax is like, it's like, I feel so bougie in that truck. I'm just like, ooh, I'm fancy. But I plan to like try to go do like events and stuff with this. And so like, of course you don't want to, I mean you can, but like I'm like, hey man, I want Katie to like enjoy it. Like, yeah. So
Yep.
like, cause I thought about doing like a single cab long bed, like a 60s C10 or something. But like, then I was just like, meh, Duramax.
Yeah.
So that's like my one new
Yeah.
vehicle.
And this truck is going to be my, like, I want to do like drag week in the end. My goal is to do drag week with no trailer, don't change tires, drive it on the drag radials. I want to pull it in, air down, make 2-3 passes, air back up, and drive to the next track.
That's what people
I don't-
sleep at night and think about.
Yeah, I don't want to take shit off and seats out and, you know, to make it a race car. I just want to drive it.
What's that dude, Dylan? I know you're watching. What's that guy that has the Nova, the gasser that he?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Jim Forbes.
Jim Forbes. That dude's a bad
Yep.
mofo.
Yeah, he did the thing where they seal the hood, like you don't open the hood, and he actually had the blower bearing go out, and he pulled the blower through the hole in the hood, replaced the bearing, and put it back on without taking the hood off. On drag week, he did that. So,
I've seen the car, and then Dylan was telling me a bunch of stories about him. I'd love to meet the guy. Do you know?
Super, super cool. Yeah, really a nice guy. Now, I've known him since
Future
55
episode.
Chevy guys.
Is he?
Yeah,
Is
he
he?
had the blower that's on the Nova was on his 55 Chevy, and he did power tour several times.
Is it a small block Chevrolet?
Big block
Big block?
it's like a peach and orange 55 Chevy.
Well, and then his Nova's like an early Nova, like Katie's, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yep.
And then
Altered wheelbase.
what was it? Dylan was telling me a story. I'm gonna hack it because I wasn't there. But didn't he do something where he like did the drag week multiple times, but he was driving from Tucson. His truck broke down in New Mexico. He popped the car off the trailer and drove it out to drag week. Did drag week, came back, fixed the truck, and then drove home.
I didn't hear about that, but that totally doesn't surprise me in any way that he would do that.
What does he do? Is that
He is retired now, but he used to be an engineer. Like, I don't think he was in the military, but he worked for
a contractor or something?
Yeah, he worked for the military
That's-
as an engineer, and his son was big into those like fighting robots.
Oh,
And
no way.
he would do that. So he'll post up about going to a robot convention, and
That's cool.
so yeah, he's he's like serious, like old school, like no electronic ignition, points ignition.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, this guy's gotta be on an episode here. I gotta do that.
He does some cool shit.
And he's a doer.
Doer, exactly.
I love doers.
He's got like 5 projects going at a time. He does.
I never would do 5 projects at a time.
24 hours of lemons. He's got
He's
like
done that?
like a Packard hearse that he's building for the 24 hours of lemons. He's one of those guys where he's like, this radiator's no good, so I'm just gonna put a radiator on the outside of the car and drive it until I figure out how to fix the original radiator. He's like,
Dude.
yeah, makes shit happen.
He's just epic.
Yeah.
And that's really like true, man, because when you said that, it made me think about like your brain and how your brain works when you're like building a car and like you get stuck on certain things. Like, dude, people were messing with me on here. James was, not people on here, and then people followed because of the radiator in a Nova. I swapped radiators like 3 times in that car, and then eventually I was sitting there and I have a TIG now, and I hadn't set it up yet. I didn't get. I just needed a bottle and like a cart. I hadn't set it up yet, and I was like, dude, I have a TIG, which has always been an excuse for me. If I had a TIG, I could, you know, if I could weld aluminum, I would just build brackets. And I was like, it was literally one morning. I didn't even really have the money. I went and bought a bottle off Craigslist. I went and got a cart, which isn't really even necessary, but it was just a part of it. I threw it all together, and then that day I just made brackets, welded them onto it, and then I hacked it all up and made it like a dual pass in another day. You know, it's just like, I just did it. I was like, shove my face in the mud, like, get it over with, finish it.
This is what I say. You dive off the diving board, and on the way in, look and see if there's water in the pool.
Yes. There was someone that had a really good one like that too. It was like, it's this guy I listen to, Preston Pugmire. He has a podcast. He's not car related. It's more like lifestyle, whatever you want to call it, like personal development. But his was ready, fire, aim.
Yeah.
Ready, fire, aim. Just go.
Go. Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Want to pop this off? We're at like 70 minutes.
Okay.
I want to pop this off here, and
Okay.
then let's go show them around.
Cool.
If you guys have any questions, like I said, I know there's a few of you guys watching, throw them up, and then at the very end, we'll check it out. But let's go look at his Anglia and his truck. Let's check it out. Bear with me while I make a bunch of noise. Actually, I'm gonna put on this one. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. Man, you guys all look really good today. You look really good, especially you, Dylan, and you, Josh. I know Katie looks good. She looks good every day. Just wanted to let you guys know that, while we were having this intimate me changing stands here moment. I'm doing a terrible job with this too.
We all know.
As long as you still love me, man. All right. Want to start with the Anglia or the truck?
Sure, we'll start with the Anglia.
Anglia.
I've had this car the longest.
I'm gonna flip you around. Boom. Anglia.
So, I've had this car I bought the car in September, I think, of 1990. So 29 years.
September, October, November.
28.
It was almost the same as me. I was November.
It was totally original. Had a little 8 horsepower flathead 4-cylinder in it.
8 horsepower.
8
flathead
horsepower.
4.
Yep.
Wow.
5.5 to 1 rear end ratio.
Dude, I forgot it's right-hand drive. That's
Yeah,
so
right-hand
sick.
drive. I wanted to keep, since it was a British car, I wanted to keep it right-hand drive.
Dude, honestly, that was another thing I was really pumped to come do this with you, is because like we have similar, like I feel like styles in a way. Like you have a lot, like you've done a lot more like rat roddy type stuff, but like stuff like this is so cool because it like works really well together. Like the wheel and tire combo you have on it fits really well. You gotta think about like the whole car, right?
Yep.
So what's this back here? Is this Phil?
This,
Fill?
Yeah, that's the fill for the tank. Let me see if I can open that.
Someone asked, what's your goal with the Anglia? Go fast?
My goal is 9s. This is what I want to do. I want to go to the track, make a 9-second pass. 9.0, 9.99, I don't care, but a 9-second pass. Then I want to drive it to California and do some car shows, and then drive it back and make another 9-second pass.
That's like your ultimate.
So I can say it's a 9-second street car, and it actually be a street car that's like been driven. Because I know there's tons of arguments about what is a street car.
Right.
If it's licensed and registered and got insurance, it's a street car. To me, a street car is something that you can say, I don't want to drive the regular car, I'm going to drive it to work.
Yes.
And you can just get in it and go drive to work.
Sick.
And if you say, I want to drive it to work, I drove this car to work every day for 6 months. I was living out in Sonora in Chris's house. It snowed on me one day. Like my windshield wiper wouldn't move the snow, so the windshield wiper was just like doing this. But I drove it to work every day. Every other day I put a $20 bill in the tank. Every other day. It was like
shoving them down there.
Yeah. But
dude, let's check this out. So is the AEM?
That's Aeromotive 340
Oh,
Stealth.
yeah. That's what I meant.
Good for like 1,000 horsepower kind of setup. I went ahead and bought the tank with the pump already in it, and then just modified the back of the car to fit the tank. So
Did it ever go to the track with the original setup?
I never got a good pass because I didn't have a cage. So they wouldn't let me do anything.
Be down on it.
Yeah. So I did one really hard pass, and it was just spinning the tires the whole way down, and it went, I don't know, 12, 20, and I can't remember what the mile an hour was, but it was just like spinning the tires the whole way through.
When you went, you were going bottom 11s with your Nova back when it was. I mean, that was pretty fast for.
Yeah.
This is a pretty cool setup. Someone commented.
That's so small block Chevy with a tunnel ram with 2 4 barrels, and I took the thin aluminum scoop, filled it in.
So that I didn't even think about that. It's a finned aluminum scoop, and then you just. That's awesome.
So this is like my first time I ever welded aluminum. This is
Oh, okay. It doesn't look bad at all.
So the 2 turbos come across, merge, go down into the intercooler, back up, and then blow into the scoop.
A little intercooler down there.
Through 2 Holley 450s.
Oh.
That are modified for boost and.
For boost.
We'll see. Home built headers. I built all that stuff, and I had a Nissan pickup. I traded the Nissan pickup to a friend of mine for these turbos. They're Garrett Air Research 50 millimeter turbos with a 9.6 AR and a 0.60.
Oh hell yeah! Well, and like, what does it really take, right, to make this thing even?
These were spec'd for a 440, so they're a little bit on the big side, but on the hot side, it's a little bit bigger than what I would probably have done. But the car doesn't weigh anything, so it's gonna.
What is it? Yeah, what's it gonna take?
It takes a little bit longer for the boost to come in. It doesn't really matter.
What about a hood? Are you gonna wear on a hood, Shawn?
I had a fiberglass hood for this, and I started cutting it to get it on.
Yeah.
By the time I was done, there wasn't any. A little section right here. It goes right through here. So all of that was
Gone.
And then all of this was gone, and it was just.
Well, and like, dude, this is pretty sinister. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's super cool. I like how you made it into one going into the intake, whereas, like, I feel like a lot of people would have tried to just do, like, a dual into it. I think this is definitely cool and different.
Originally, I wanted to do an intercooler that had 2 outlets or 2 inlets on the bottom and 1 outlet on the top to go up and then come right in the middle.
Right through.
But I was going to have to make my radiator smaller.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to.
Well, it's kind of like you see a lot of people do that. I don't see this, and like it's kind of confusing for a second, but it's cool. Like, you know what I mean? And then I like you have your little British flag duct tape.
Yeah.
Keeping the homage to home. Dude, this is sweet. This is just your baby, huh? Like your favorite car.
This car, my son has already claimed this is his car, so.
It's his.
Yeah. So it's never going away. It'll stay in the family.
Is this all modified transmission tunnel?
Yeah, the transmission tunnel on the thing was like the size of my foot.
Dude, you can just feel this car has so much soul.
You can see whenever I built the gas pedal, I had to build it so it crossed over.
Oh yeah.
Because the turbo was right where the gas pedal, where the cable would have come out of the firewall. So it comes up, across, and then up again.
Oh, okay. Let me show the outside.
And then you can kind of see the line. The cable comes out of the firewall right there.
Oh, yeah.
And comes up. Where it normally would have come out over here. That's where it was before I did the turbo setup. But there's piping
Down
that's
pipe's
going to
gonna
go
go
right
down.
there. Yeah, so I couldn't run it. I had to.
Oh, dude, you got to do like ups now. That's the thing.
See this right here? I'm gonna have several different exhausts for it because I'm an exhaust guy. So.
Yeah, got to have
So
multiple.
you can see my outlets for the wastegate, so I'm gonna have another one that just comes out right here to match. And then I have a setup. I already have them built. They go down and come out right here.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, yeah.
In that I don't have them on here, but that's the way it's gonna be. But on that setup, I'm gonna put an outlet under the car so I can run the exhaust all the way to the back.
Oh, yeah. Streetcar. Dude, sick. So sick. What else do you want to show us? You want to show us C10?
Yeah, we'll start with just a stock 350, but I put valve covers in there. This was it's an 87, so it was a factory fuel injected truck, but all that went away because they're famous for not running right. So Holley 650 double pumper and a cheap intake, and I was in business. So.
Yeah, man, cheap and easy. And then there's the pancaked cross member.
The pancake, the cross member, 1.5 inches. It's got 3-inch lowering springs and 2.5-inch spindles. So that's a 7-inch drop in the front. And I did a axle flip in the back, and it's going to get shackles and blocks to get it where I want it to match the front. And I raised the bed floor and the wheel wells, which was a lot of work because I wanted it to look stock. So I cut it so that all the body lines stayed.
Oh, okay.
And so when I grind all that down and paint it, it won't look all hacked up.
And you can put all your air tanks up there.
Yeah.
No air tanks.
I put enough C-notch in there that I could bag it if I wanted to. So this, because the C-notch is 6 inches.
You go the rest of the way.
Yeah.
That's cool,
I
man.
could put it all the way down on the ground.
Hell yeah.
It's not, I mean, it's a Silverado, but there's not anything really special about it. Just
That's what makes it special. Is there's nothing special about it. It's just easy.
Just an old truck. And for you, I did this. Remember I had the 25?
Yeah.
I
Dude,
think
that
this
was the
thing must have
worst.
been wrecked and had, I think these are probably late model.
Fenders.
Like Suburban 90, whatever it is, 88 to 91 fenders.
That thing was ugly. It had like the new style
2500, yeah.
2500 badge right there. It made me want to throw
I'm
up.
guessing it was a 3/4 ton. These fenders are off of a 3/4 ton. That I think was probably the same color because
Yeah, it fits really
it doesn't
well.
look like new paint.
It's not. I mean, if you look at it pretty hard, you can tell it's actually a little different.
Yeah.
The thing's sick though. I mean, that's what you want that's what everyone wants for a driver right
Yeah,
now.
well, somebody can door ding this and I won't even know.
Yeah, exactly. You welcome it.
Yeah, exactly.
I welcome door dings. All right, is there anything else you want to show us, man?
Well, if you want, we can go to the backyard and you can see all the crap I have back there.
Let's do it, man. I'm down. If you guys are down, we're gonna.
Don't film the dirty things.
All right, I'll film myself. Film me as we go through for the dirty. No dirty dishes, all right? You guys are getting the super secret.
This is where all my crap is. That was in the garage.
You're organizing. I see caps. See hubcaps. Oh yeah. Uh-oh. I didn't sign up for Power Cruise yet. Cause someone was asking. You know what Power Cruise is?
Yeah.
I don't have any money yet to get up there. Turns out you need money to get up there, but I do want to go.
Duster with a big block Chevy in it.
Duster with a big block shit. Oh, dude, I remember this.
Yeah. A Ford 9-inch big block Chevy.
Yeah.
A friend of mine that's the
Oh man, that'll make people happy.
yeah, a friend of mine that's a Mopar guy calls it the abortion.
Oh man, that's terrible. It's pretty sick though.
Yeah, it needs some work, but it might be something someday.
I'm excited for this next one. Dang, you got the setup out here, man. Oh yeah.
So, first thing, this is the 4-door version of the Anglia.
Oh really?
So this is called a prefect. I want to do a gasser on here, so straight axle, big block, 4-speed.
Dude, this is cool as hell.
I got this super cheap. Somebody tried to chop the top, but it did a really, really bad job. So I'm going to do a lot of work to make the chop look okay. But it's only time.
Dude, it's only time and money and work and all that stuff. Oh, sick!
This is my son's truck, 49 Studebaker.
Dude, you know what this reminds me of immediately? Is Hot Rod 1979. You remember that movie?
Yep.
Dude, this thing is sick.
It's got somebody that already put a Pacer front end in it, so it's already got independent.
Oh, it looks familiar to me, man. I don't know shit about Pacers.
So me and my son did the steering on it just recently. It actually steers.
When are we gonna LS swap it?
I told him he gets a 283 and a power glide, and then after that,
He can do whatever he wants.
Dude. We could buy a turbo kit. And I said, you can buy a turbo
You can buy a turbo kit, Bubba.
So this is my son's car also. I bought this because it was $100. And I thought I could use the parts. So I bought this and my son really likes it. So I think we're gonna do like a body swap with a Subaru Forester.
Oh, that would be
So it'll
cool.
Like all-wheel drive, turbo. Well, I have to like cut the fenders, wide body it to get it to fit over the. So that's just kind of a junker that I had. Fastback that
Sick.
burned a valve 4 years ago, and it's never moved again. Old Pathfinder, not anything special. But
Dude, can I open this?
yeah.
This is super cool. I've like never. I like this a lot. This is super cool.
Yep.
Yep. He's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's just like pretty sought after. I don't know anything about
Yeah,
these.
these things are crazy with the money.
Really?
Yeah. We paid $5,000 for it. It needs a lot of work.
It's sick, dude.
Lots of rat rod
Parts.
things to happen later.
This was part of it. This is the next one, huh?
Yeah, this is the next one. I should have come out here and opened it.
Let me look at while he's uncovering. Whoop, coming back. What you guys got? Start saving, man. I gotta have a job to save money, dude. Studebaker, dude. That's Studebaker. Sick. What's your guys' favorite thing so far? I think mine would have to be either the Anglia or, I mean, the C10 sick. This is pretty dope. Let's check it out. Let's peep on him while he's uncovering. Oh, yeah. Oh, you said you had started on this one, huh?
Yeah, this one. I actually started this one before I started the 6-cylinder rat rod, and just kind of got sidetracked and haven't ever got back on it again.
Oh yeah, that's pretty together.
It's small block, play a 300 horse small block with T5 behind it.
T5. Hell yeah.
And I'm building this. I'm gonna have a top on it, and it's gonna have air conditioning.
Really?
I want to drive it all the time, and in Arizona, air conditioning is a nice thing to have if you're gonna drive it all the time.
Dude, I remember.
Got a really cool grill that.
Dude, that grill is
Called a
super.
winterizer.
What?
That opens and closes.
What?
So I've got a really cool grill.
Oh my god, this thing is sick, dude.
So this started life as a 4-door sedan, 1928 Oakland. And Oakland was its own company. It was bought by General Motors, and it was moved from Oakland, California to Pontiac, Michigan. And they figured since they moved it, they would change the name. So they changed it from Oakland to Pontiac.
Oh, no way.
Because it was in Oakland, California, named Oakland, so they moved it to Pontiac,
No
Michigan.
way.
Changed it. So this is
I didn't know that.
Pre-Pontiac.
Dude, you're so smart.
So that's it. That's all my junk.
That's it. Heck yeah. Dude, thanks for having us, man. What a pleasure.
Yeah, it was fun.
What a pleasure. Do we need help covering this up?
Now I'll come back again.
All right. Easy peasy. Well, I guess for today, we'll end it off. Episode 3 was a success, in my opinion.
I think so.
I think it was a blast, and I wouldn't have a problem having you on here again.
Cool. Cool.
Thanks, guys, for hanging out. So every other weekend, Friday, we'll be doing these at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, which is my time. I know it may be a little off from where you're at. I've been having some issues making sure everybody knows that. Thanks for everybody commenting and hanging out. Josh, Snyder, Wild with a Melon, all you guys, man. Thank you so much for hanging out and shooting the shit with us. Until next